Sorry. Hi, everybody. Anybody who's going to join. This video is going to have a lot of Trump hate in it because Trump is a monster, and I went through his feed. I didn't go through the whole thing. I mean, he has two. He has one as president, which is at POTUS, and the other one is at Real Donald Trump. I went through the at Real Donald Trump Twitter feed, and he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything. One striking thing is that he doesn't have any idea that Kim Jong-un is not Kim Jong-il, and believes that Kim Jong-un has been in power for 25 years. Kim Jong-un was like 25 years ago. And Trump doesn't know that. Trump is the president of the United States. He doesn't know that Kim Jong-un has not been in charge for the last 25 years. That was one thing that infuriated me. It's one thing that infuriated me. He had several tweets about the NFL and not kneeling. And it is unbecoming of a president who swears to uphold the Constitution to talk about anybody's First Amendment rights in that way. He shouldn't be trying to punish people for exercising their freedom of speech. And yeah, Amber, you're right. He is like a third grader with a behavioral disorder on Twitter. He does have problems with controlling his Twitter feed. Someone told me today he's a puppet, and I'm like, if he's a puppet, his Twitter feed would look a whole lot different. I didn't say those exact words, but you know, if you look at his Twitter feed, he's not a puppet. This is all him. Okay, they try to rein him in. They try to do things. They contradict him. His public statements with, "Oh no, we're not going to do that," whatever. But Trump loves his ego. He loves his ego stroked, and he surrounds himself with sycophants. And anybody who isn't a sycophant gets to get fired, ends up getting forced to resign, whatever. But he's talking about football players kneeling and making it about a disgrace to the country and the flag and veterans. That's what racists do. That's what abusive people do, and Trump is abusive. There's no doubt Trump is abusive. I don't know if he's abusing Melania, but I don't think abusers change, really. He definitely abused Ivanka Trump. Or Ivana. I'm sorry, Ivana. Ivanka's his daughter. I have very little doubt that he sexually abused Ivanka too, but I can't prove that. What I can say are there are court documents that do show that he did sexually assault his wife, Ivana, when they were married. He went to a hair replacement doctor, or scalp reduction, whatever the hell it was. Yeah, it was scalp reduction. It's funny, I just read this. My friend Hobie posted it. But there's court documents describing the sexual assault that happened. He started tearing out her hair, then he tore her clothes off. Sorry, this should have come with a trigger warning. I don't want to describe this in graphic detail, but he raped Ivana. And then she was silent after the divorce settlement. She got a huge financial settlement. So this guy is an abuser. There's 15 women who say that he sexually harassed them. There's a video out there of him telling a 10-year-old girl in a pageant, a 10-year-old, that he'd be dating her in 10 years. And I mean, that's just the creepiest damn thing you can say to a 10. That means he found that 10-year-old attractive. And it's like, hard to believe I'm going to be dating you in 10 years. I mean, what the fuck? What a creepy thing to say to a 10-year-old girl. And this guy, that came out before he was president. And he still got in there. Now, moving on in his Twitter feed, let me think. What else? Puerto Rico. Las Vegas. Las Vegas. That's the thing that pissed me off the most. He called it a miracle. A miracle that the police were able to stop the shooter so fast. A miracle! He called that a miracle. 571 bullets found targets. I don't know how many he fired. 571 bullets found their targets, and Trump called it a miracle that the shooter was stopped so quickly. A miracle. You have very low standards for a miracle. That's what your belief is, that it was a miracle, that the police stopped him after he shot 571 people, killing 59 of them. I don't know if there's any still in critical condition. Last I heard, there's 23 in critical condition in the hospital still. And I think that was yesterday or the day before. 571 bullets found a target. That's 571 people who were direct victims, and then there's a bunch of people traumatized because they were there helping the victims, and there were a lot of people helping. There were a lot of people getting people to safety. 571 people were shot. And this guy calls it a miracle that the police stopped them quickly? I mean, no, I'm not knocking on the police. I mean, they got there as fast as they could. The smoke alarm went off in the hotel room. That's how they figured out where he was. And they went there and they stopped him. Well, he shot himself when they got to the door. But a miracle. A miracle would be if the bullets stopped in midair. Okay? If the bullets stopped in midair and then they fell, they didn't hurt anyone, they stopped like right before they hit people and they just dropped harmlessly to the ground, I would totally qualify that as a miracle, or at least I'd say it's definitely, something to look into. Yeah, Amber, I corrected myself. Yeah, the police came there, but when they got into the door, he shot himself. So, yeah. This is one case where if anyone's telling you the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, just call him an idiot and move on, because you can't argue with that, just that lack of logic, that level of ignorance. Guy was on the 32nd floor, 400 yards away. I think it was 400 yards of the hotel, and then, you got to figure it out, use the Pythagorean theorem and figure out exactly what the distance was, but what are you going to do? Take out your handgun and fire at the guy who's basically undercover? He's shooting from the window. You'd have to have a sniper, a good one. So, it's ridiculous. He calls this a miracle. And then he has all these photo ops with victims that were in the hospital. He went in to see these victims in the hospital. He's posing with them, with Melania. And he's smiling. He's grinning ear to ear. And, I just, it's sickening to me that he did that. But the other sickening part was, it's wonderful to be in Vegas. No, it's not wonderful that you're in Vegas, Trump. It's tragic that you had to go to Vegas to console victims or to be with victims. It is tragic. It's a tragedy. And you're not going to do anything to change policy, and neither is anybody in Congress, because you never do. If it didn't happen after Sandy Hook, it isn't going to happen now. And I'm not even asking for a gun ban. I'm not asking for a gun ban. I'm asking for a study on mass shootings, just to see if there is something you could do about them. Are they completely random? Are they completely random and we can't do anything? Are all these people who speculate that right? Or can we change policy and actually do something? The evidence says gun control does work, and it worked in Australia. Of course, some people will come up with contradiction to that. But I'm not asking for a gun ban. I'm not doing a knee-jerk reaction. What I am doing is saying, can we figure out if there's something in common here? Can we figure out multiple solutions to the problem? Can we track ammunition? Maybe get everybody to register the ammunition they buy, and if they have too much, then red flag it and just watch them. You don't send them to jail or anything. You just watch them. They get thousands of rounds of ammunition. What are they doing? Are they a doomsday prepper? And just get a dossier on them. See what they're up to. I have no problem with that level of surveillance. I don't think it takes anybody's freedom. I think that is a public safety thing, and if you're buying thousands of rounds of ammunition, you're up to something. You better be a target shooter, or you better be, I have a former, I won't even give his specific title, but he was a couple levels above me in my job. He shot big weapons, big machine guns and stuff like that. He had a license to do all that. He used to be an Army colonel. I think Army colonel, might have been Air Force, but he had a license to do it, and he had thousands of rounds of ammunition. That's what he did. But I want the FBI to know that. I want them to know, oh, this guy's harmless. He just loves to do this for fun. It's his hobby. Or I want to know, okay, this guy's a doomsday prepper. He's a little crazy, but he's harmless. Or I want to know if this guy's going to be up to some shit. Now I want to say it's Adam Lanza. Remembering their names kind of kills me because these people kind of become celebrities. And they shouldn't. We definitely shouldn't be glorifying what they do. I think it was Adam Lanza, though. The guy who did Sandy Hook. I think it was the guy who did Sandy Hook. Stole the gun from his mom. So I don't know. I mean, what works for Paddock might not work for that guy. So who knows? Who knows? But I want a study done to see what, if anything, can be done. This guy says it's wonderful. Trump, this monster, says it's wonderful to be in Las Vegas. It's wonderful to be. What? Am I reading too much into this, folks? I mean, that is such a shitty thing for him to say in Twitter. Okay, Allie, thanks for joining. I'll see you in a little bit. Appreciate everybody who joined. Jay and Amber, and saw a few other people come on. I think Alexa and a couple other people. I shouldn't say Alexa out loud because I have Alexa. I have Amazon Echo Dot, and she will respond with something. So anyway, Trump's Twitter feed. I'm going through this. I want to go back to other things. In the debates, he said, Syrian refugees. Now, I did a post on Syrian refugees, and people were talking about, well, what if 6 of them end up being terrorists, and they end up shooting 62 people, like what happened in Paris? I don't know if the number is exactly 62, but or 162. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. Off the top of my head, I don't know. But when that terrorist thing happened in Paris, it was pretty bad. But people were like, what if there's 6 bad apples out of 10,000 refugees? And that was a very low number we wanted to bring over. I think Hillary Clinton wanted to expand that to 65,000. And I will give her props for that. Okay? She wanted to bring in more refugees, and I supported that. Trump was saying in the debate, we don't know who these people are. We got to know what's going on. We should ban Muslims till we know what's going on. I don't think he said that part in the actual debate. He definitely said that. But, we should keep Muslims out until we know what's going on. You're going to keep them out from 66 countries? Only 12 of which are theocracies and have the extremists? I'm sure there's extremists in every country of some sort or another. We have our own, right-wing extremists and left-wing extremists and all that kind of stuff. But, I don't want to give a false equivalency model here. Most of our extremists, most of our terrorist attacks on our soil have been from right-wing white people. In any case, this guy in the debate says, we don't know who these Syrian refugees are. And I posted on this, and I said, I don't care if 6 of them end up being bad apples and they end up shooting people. Yes, of course, that'll be a tragic event, and I don't want it to happen. Okay, but we had a really strict screening process. Let me tell you something about bringing over refugees. These are people fleeing war. That's who they are. These are human beings fleeing war. They had, they had the news going over and interviewing them. There were kids. There's adults who were soccer coaches and teachers and doctors and all that kind of stuff. They just wanted to get away from war. Their cities ended up getting bombed, so they couldn't go back to them. And, Justin, I don't know about that, and I don't want to get into that. That's pure speculation, and at this point, we're talking about Trump. And what Trump said was definitely racist. We don't know who these people are. We don't know who these people are. You know what? We know that they're people. And if we saved 9,994 of them, and the other 6 were bad apples, we still did the right thing. We can't be afraid of terrorist attacks to the point where we don't help people in a humanitarian crisis. And that's right, Jay. They go through so much vetting. We might have let 1 or 2 through, maybe. But at the same time, we did the right thing because the vast, vast majority of them aren't going to be terrorists. They're not going to be extremists. They're people fleeing war. They are human beings, and they should be treated as such, just like in Puerto Rico. And I said this in the last video. I think we can make a 14th Amendment case for Puerto Rico, just impeaching Trump on the. I don't even know if we can impeach Trump on this, because it's not technically a crime, I guess, but he swore to dereliction of duty. I don't know. He swore to uphold the Constitution, but he didn't use the government resources in the same way in Puerto Rico as he did in Florida and Texas. And it was clearly politically motivated because Puerto Rico doesn't have any power to reelect him, but Florida and Texas do. So he was like, I'm going to go into Florida and Texas right away and give them all the resources they need, and I'm not going to give anything to Puerto Rico. They want everything done for them, and you threw our budget out of whack, and let me throw paper towels at you. These are human beings. These are not just human beings either. If you're like America First, these guys are Americans. They're American citizens. American citizens in Puerto Rico. And to do what they did, it's insane. Well, that's the thing, Justin. That would have been a big, I agree with you. That would have been a big, Justin saying, well, even if there are bad apples, it shows the Muslims that America is not all bad. It could possibly change hearts. Yes, you want to win the hearts and minds of Muslims. That is one way to do it. Accept them for who they are. Accept them as human beings. And maybe there'd be a little less extremism against the United States. I totally agree with that sentiment. And that might be a way to change conservative minds. Say, hey, we need to win their hearts and minds. We need a little less extremism. This would be a token of, this would be us acting in good faith. And, and people would see, hey, the United States accepts people of all religion and all races and all ethnicities. And, oh yeah, Jay, you're right about that. When people come here, they tend to assimilate. This isn't the same kind of example, but Mexicans who are largely Catholic, when they come here, become a lot less religious. And people think, they're going to be, conservative Catholics. Well, that isn't necessarily true. Yep, Justin, that is definitely a good idea. I mean, diplomacy is lost on Trump. He doesn't know what diplomacy is. And I have no idea what he's going to do to North Korea, but I hope to hell it's not a nuke. I really hope it's not a nuke. Maybe he's going to send special forces in to assassinate Kim Jong-un. I don't know. He says calm before the storm, and only one thing works with Little Rocket Man and all that crap. And it's ominous. Don't know what's going to happen. This is an unstable administration. We have an unstable president. He is a monster. He is a monster. And we need to get rid of him. And by overturning Congress in 2018, if that's even possible, I've heard it's not really. We don't have a lot. It's not realistically possible, but I hope that's wrong. But in 2020, we have a good chance of getting rid of that administration. Whether he makes it all the way to 2020 or not, whoever his replacement is just going to be a shitty Republican. So if it's Pence or Pence gets, just depends on how it happens. I mean, if it happens similar to Nixon and a bunch of people go down, maybe Ryan ends up in office. It's going to be a shitty Republican. It's going to be somebody we don't want. It's going to be a Christian dominionist, or it's going to be an establishment billionaire, or it's going to be an Ayn Rand fan. Whoever it is going to be a shitty Republican we don't want. And we need to keep them out. Yeah, I'm with you, Justin. I have to make sure I read these comments because I put this on YouTube and I don't think they can see the comments at all. I know the man has no diplomacy whatsoever. The biggest reason why I would have preferred Hillary, even though I didn't like her. Yeah, I didn't like Hillary either. I predicted her loss, not because I didn't like her in the beginning, but I predicted her loss as soon as she announced her candidacy. Because the Republicans have an acid hate for her. She wasn't popular with independents and had no intention of winning them over. Didn't really have a plan to do that. And the Democrats were divided. So she wasn't going to win. She did win the popular vote. People will point that all the time. Every time you say Hillary Clinton didn't win, they will point out the popular vote. Well, that's not what matters in an electoral system. But there is no way. I know a lot of my friends have said that she would be worse than Trump, or she's just as bad as Trump. But let me tell you something. There is no way that she would have been as bad as Trump. There is no way. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Jay. Yeah, the baggage, Justin, is why I thought she would lose. And I wish she had won, I really do. I mean, you talk about her being a wolf in sheep's clothing. She's a bit of a war hawk, and there's some things that she would have done that weren't right. I mean, she would have been in cahoots with the banks and everything like that. But I think that she would have taken the job seriously. She would have had a stable administration. She may have had Congress investigating her constantly. She might not have been able to get a lot done through Congress, and if she did get it done, it would be because we moved to the right from the center. No progressive things would get done. So, yeah, she would have been damage control, and then in 2020 we could get a more progressive Congress through the Justice Democrats, and in 2024 possibly we would get a progressive president finally. Maybe Elizabeth Warren. I know people say, oh, she's a traitor, she didn't support Sanders, and she sold out. You know what? She's sharp as a tack, knows her economics, and she's a politician. You know? I don't know, Jay. It's possible. We're speculating, and I don't know. I mean, she adopted a lot of Bernie's platform, but I don't know how hard she would have worked for it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We're speculating on a Hillary Clinton presidency. I looked at her congressional record, and her voting record in Congress was pretty good. It was good on the environment. It was good on social issues. It was good on other things. I couldn't really find a whole lot of fault. The only thing I found fault with was the bankruptcy bill, her vote on the Iraq war, and there was one other thing, and I think it was a pharmaceutical bill. Okay, because she took a lot of money from the pharmaceutical lobby. But by and large, Hillary Clinton's voting record in Congress was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't totally progressive, but it was definitely not conservative. So, I don't know. I don't know how she would have been. I would hope that she wouldn't go to war with anybody just to prove herself. I don't think so. I think diplomacy would be the first thing. I think the lesson learned from her being Secretary of State is that diplomacy does work. She worked out the Iran deal, and she worked out other things. People criticize her for Libya. I don't know. I mean, she might have made some bad decisions, but she did make some good decisions too, and I don't think she would have been a terrible president. I don't think she would have been a perfect president, but I voted for her because, look, I did look at her voting record, and she did adopt some of Bernie's platform, whether she was going to work for it or not, and she wasn't Trump. I mean, Trump's a monster. Trump was an overt racist. This was the decision people were making. And, like, I'm agonizing over the decision. I'm like, how are you agonizing over this decision? How are you agonizing over this? He is blatantly racist. Blatantly racist. Whenever Black Lives Matter protesters showed up and they were escorted out, he would say things like, man, if this was back in the 1950s or 60s, or if this was back in when I was younger or whatever, I don't remember exactly how he prefaced it. He said they would be going out of here on a stretcher. And then a guy cold cocks a Black Lives Matter protester for flipping everybody off. And look, one of those actions is freedom of speech, and the other one is assault. Did anything happen to the guy who assaulted the Black Lives Matter protester? No. No, some 70-year-old man cold cocked a young black man who flipped everybody off. Well, flipping people off is a First Amendment thing. That's freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Cold cocking somebody is not. And that's why, I talk about punching Nazis all the time. Just remember, it's illegal. So, make sure you don't get caught. Yes, well, I don't know if it was exactly that one, Jay. I know that was one thing that he said. I will pay your legal bills. Jay's asking if Trump offered to pay is that the one where Trump offered to pay the legal bills? And yes, he did offer to pay people's legal bills in at least one rally. Justin is saying, Elizabeth Warren I wish she would have come out for Bernie, but maybe she knew he wasn't going to get it. He wasn't going to get it and was afraid of the backlash she would get if Hillary won. Now, Justin, that you have a major point there, because Clinton has been known to punish her political adversaries in the past. So I can't bring the evidence of that up right now. I know there were articles on it. I know Young Turks went over it, and some other people. So there's a lot of validity to what you're saying. Elizabeth Warren is a politician. That's kind of what I was hinting at when I said it. She waited till the very end to support Hillary Clinton because she didn't want to diss Sanders because she liked Sanders and she's a progressive, but she also didn't want to diss Hillary because she saw the writing on the wall. But Elizabeth Warren is sharp as a tack. I've loved Elizabeth Warren since the first time I saw her on a talk show talking about the economy. She's sharp as a tack, man. She knows her stuff. Jay said Keane wasn't any help for Hillary either. He was so milquetoast. A bluish Pence. Clinton-Warren ticket would have fared better. Oh, definitely. Definitely. Keane was boring. Maybe even more boring than Al Gore. Al Gore was so wooden. Man, I wish we'd have had a charismatic person running against George W. Bush, because that was a lesser of two evil things. Nobody was excited about either one of them. Nobody really knew. I mean, Al Gore didn't really do anything during his time in the White House to make him stand out, and he wasn't charismatic. He's smart. Oh, man, I heard him speak. And when I heard him speak, even though he's a wooden speaker, I liked all his policy positions, and he was a really smart guy. Justin, I think a Bernie Warren ticket would have been unstoppable. I think if Bernie and Warren would have run as independents, they would have beat Trump and Clinton. I mean, look, Ross Perot almost won being an independent because he was charismatic and people liked him and stuff. I think that Warren and Sanders could have won together because there was a pool of 46.9% of voters who stayed home. Most of those voters were left-leaning. I think the number's around 53%. There was analysis of this. 538.com posted it. It's a SurveyMonkey poll. So they didn't really do the analysis. They just reported the analysis. But they were largely left-leaning, the people who stayed home. And they would have taken votes away from both Trump and Clinton. You talk about him being a billionaire, Justin. Trump, that's what I try to get through people's heads. He's a billionaire. He is the damn establishment. He's not your populist independent. He's not this guy that's going to look out for the little guy. He's never been the little guy. You don't know what that is. He spits on the little guy, and you're saying he's not establishment. He is the establishment. He is the kind of person that buys lobbyists to change policy for his businesses to make more profit. DeVos is too, and Tillerson is too. I mean, it's ridiculous. He put so little money into his campaign. Even the money he loaned to the campaign and charged interest. Yes, he did not have to do much because guess what? The media has a ratings bias. I firmly believe they do not have a liberal bias. They do not have a conservative bias unless you're talking about, they've started leaning right in some cases, but Fox has been right-wing all along, and there's other conservative media sources. They're obviously biased. There's barely a liberal media, but there is a biased media. MSNBC is supposed to be this liberal media outlet. They replaced all their progressive voices, okay? And the people they replaced them with are, middle of the road or maybe a little right-leaning. Joe Scarborough's right-wing. Chucky Todd is just a tool. He's as much of a tool as Wolf Blitzer is. But little Chucky Todd, that's what I call him. Anyway, I'm giving him nicknames like Trump gives nicknames to Kim Jong-un. I'm sorry. But he is the media has a ratings bias, and MSNBC was posting they were airing full speeches from Trump, uncritical. There was no commentary on them. They just aired them free of charge, free advertising. Yeah, that's right. I've said that forever. He ain't gonna change the system that keeps him rich without having to work for it. Exactly. No rich person is gonna get in there. And, well, maybe, you're hearing people like Mark Zuckerberg talking about a standard salary for everybody, a minimum standard salary, because a lot of automation is going to take jobs, and there's just not going to be enough jobs to go around. So that's possible. I mean, you might have a few rich people who are benefactors and stuff like that, but Trump's not one of them. He's never been one of them. He's always been in it for himself, and he's always been a con man. Trump University should have... I can't believe the guy got elected with Trump University getting settled for $25 million. I mean, he settled that financially so it'd go away, but clearly, if he thought he could win the case, he would have done it. But his supporters would be like, oh, he just wanted to get it out of the way. He had the money. $25 million is nothing for him. And then there was this idea that he's a billionaire. He must be brilliant, must be doing something right. Yeah, he was born to the right parents. His daddy gave him a loan for $1 million that he called a small loan, and then he inherited $100 million from his daddy. Real estate's not that tough. I mean, it can't. People who buy and sell property and stuff like that are probably going to get on me for that, but let me tell you something. My dad's side of the family, my grandparents, the way they made their money off of property. Off of rental property, off of buying and selling, off of farms. They made their money off of that. Okay? And it's not that difficult. Guy had a 6th grade education, my grandfather did. 6th grade education. And he made his money. Yeah, he wasn't as rich as Trump by any means. Okay? But he started from nothing. He was digging ditches, and he ended up a millionaire when he died. I won't get into the inheritance. I wasn't in the will because I'm adopted. How's that? My grandparents didn't put me in the will because I'm adopted. They didn't put my mom in the will because my dad died, and I guess they didn't feel obligated. So, yeah, they wouldn't have loaned that money to me, Jay. They wouldn't give me a small loan for $1 million because even though they had that money, and they definitely had that money, my grandfather was a stingy person and spiteful, and he didn't think the whole thing was me and my brother were not in the will because my grandfather said, you didn't ask us permission to adopt kids. That's why we got written out of that will. Anyway, whatever. I'm making it on my own. I'm hoping I have something to leave. I hope me and Jeannie have something to leave to our kids. And, we're building a life together. Things are going pretty well. Things have gotten a lot better. And this month alone, things have improved a lot. My income's about to go up. Well, it's not going up, really. It's just things have been shifted around, moved around, and I'm going to have more of an income. More of a take-home. So, that'll be nice. Wow, 42 minutes went by fast. I am well past my 85 now. Well, not well past. I'm a couple minutes past. So, thank you for joining me and participating, Amber and Justin and Jay and everybody else who joined. I know Allie was here, and then she had customers. Alexa was here. I don't know if she stayed. Thank you, everybody who showed up and listened. And you guys have a nice night. Thanks again. When the show's up on YouTube, like it, subscribe, share it if you can. I know it's just me peddling and rambling and stuff like that, and it's not visually exciting, but I would appreciate any likes and shares and subscribes because I want to get a following. I appreciate your help and support. Thank you.